Well, it is that time of the week where I am going to preview what is coming out this weekend in theaters for you to go and see. Now, this is a bit of a slower weekend before we enter the Halloween season with releases such as Smile 2, but there are plenty of films that are hitting wide release and limited release. If you do live in cities such as New York and LA, you will actually get to watch one of my most anticipated films of the year. I have to wait a few more weeks, but it's fine. I hope that you are able to go out and enjoy the film, and I will mention it here, but if you're watching this, I'm sure you already know what it is. Jumping right in here, we are going to take a look at the first film that is releasing this weekend, and probably, well, not probably, it will be the biggest film of the weekend, and that is DreamWorks' The Wild Robot from Chris Sanders, who, if you're unaware, is one of the creators behind the How to Train Your Dragon films, which I absolutely love. The first two, the third one ended the story great, but the first two do hold a special place in my heart. I think they are excellent films. The storytelling is fantastic, highly enjoyable, great fun for the whole family, and I expect nothing less from this film here. It looks stunning from the animation, the story seems heartfelt, and the reviews certainly back all of that up. The film is rocking a very high Rotten Tomatoes score. I think last time I checked, it was about 98%. So I'm very excited to go check this one out this weekend. The box office projections aren't quite as strong as I would hope they would be for an original animated film, but well, that is the reality that we live in. The film is projected to open between about 24 and 30 million. If you look at a couple different sources, I got these numbers from a Hollywood Reporter article, but I also did take a look at Box Office Pro, and the projections really do seem to hover between that 24 and 30 million dollar range. And after the kind of lackluster, I guess you could say, opening of Transformers 1 last weekend, I do think we will see the Wild Robot kind of trend toward that 24 million range. Unfortunately, I do hope that this film does surprise and earn a bit more, but the reality of the situation, I think we will see it hit about that 24 to 25 million dollar range. But I do think the legs on this one could be pretty strong, especially if the word of mouth is as strong as I think it will be. Next up, also hitting quite a few theaters, is a film that I have heard plenty of chatter about, and I'm sure you have too, and I've discussed a bit of that on this channel here, and that is Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. I am very curious to see this film. I am prioritizing The Wild Robot just because that is a film I have been very interested in for many months, but I do plan to go out to the theater probably this weekend, if not this weekend, maybe early next week, to go and watch Megalopolis. Currently, the film is projected to open between 5 and 7 million, with a production budget before marketing of about 120 million. Now, as you are probably aware, this is a film that Francis Ford Coppola himself financed, but still, for Lionsgate picking up this film to distribute it, this number just isn't pretty with the cast that is involved. I don't see this one either overachieving or coming under that $5 million range. I think we will find ourselves about in that range, and I think a lot of people. I was looking at screenings in my area, and the evening IMAX shows are surprisingly pretty full. And I've got to say, I bet a lot of people here are going out to check this film for sheer curiosity, from whatever they've heard about the film, probably most notably the AI debacle that they had with the trailer that was put out. I am very willing to bet that a lot of people are just going out to see what the heck this film is. With the divisive reviews, it's just, I mean, even I'm very curious. I was going to see the film no matter what, but I will say between the discussions that have been held about the film and the very polarizing reviews, it has my attention. I will be going to check it out in IMAX. but I don't think we will see it go beyond or below this $5 to $7 million range. I think 5 to 6 is probably your most realistic bet here. As I mentioned, one of my most anticipated films does open up in a very limited release. I think I read about 5 to 6 theaters in New York and LA as it begins its wide rollout, and that is Jason Reitman's Saturday Night. I really love these kind of peek behind the curtain type films like this, where you really get an insight on like a behind the scenes type of thing. And this is right up my alley. The cast here is great. The reviews out of the various film festivals the film has debuted at have been solid across the board. It looks funny. The trailer impressed me. I even love the little poster that came out that kind of gives a rundown of the whole situation with the cast and the crew. I thought the poster was even funny. And, like, that's just a poster. So I am very excited to see this. Like I said, this does debut just in a very few select theaters in New York and LA, and will be going wide on October 11th, I believe. Next up is Megan Park's My Old Ass, which is being distributed by Amazon MGM Studios. You probably actually saw my review on this film a few weeks ago. I'm really rooting for this film. It's been in limited release and it's going wide this weekend, and I hope that we see this film surprise. And I'm going to back that up here in a little bit when you see my predictions for the top 5. I think this film can crack the top 5 box office this weekend. I've talked to a number of people who have been kind of curious about the film, and I have been doing what I can to try and get the word out on this film for people asking for suggestions for films to go see this weekend. I'm recommending this one because it's just a great dramedy with 2 strong performances, emotion, it has heart, it's got comedy. So if you haven't checked out Megan Park's My Old Ass yet, I really, really recommend that you do. It's honestly one of my favorite films of the year so far, and one of the biggest surprises. So here is what I think the top 5 will look like at the box office this weekend domestically. The Wild Robot will claim the number 1 spot. Transformers 1 will most likely, it would be shocking if it didn't, grab the number 2 spot. I do think we're going to see a steeper than expected drop here. I think between 60 to like 65, 66 million is what we're going to see, which for the already sort of lackluster debut that the film had, this is a less than ideal drop. But with another animated film entering the marketplace, I think it is just going to kind of cut Transformers off here. Next up, Beetlejuice. Props to Warner Brothers for releasing this film when they did. They hit a pocket where there's little competition and continues to be minimal competition for another few weeks, too, before we get a film like Smile 2, which will kind of take over the conversation as far as films to go see during the Halloween season. But I think we will see this one claim the 3rd spot. And then, I know, I did it, Megalopolis in the 4th spot with that $5 to $7 million opening. I think with people's genuine curiosity, I think we will see this film crack into the top 5. And this one was really just a hope of mine that I had to put in here just for fun. But I do think that there is a slight possibility that we see My Old Ass crack into the top 5 here at the box office. And I hope we do. I can't compliment this film enough. It is so special. It's funny. I really hope that audiences discover it this weekend and tell their friends about it, and people just continue to go see this film. I wish it was marketed just a little bit more from Amazon MGM Studios, but it's okay. What matters is that I hope people go and enjoy the film as much as the critics and audiences so far have. So, what are you watching this weekend in theaters? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this one. I will be back at the end of the weekend to do a recap of everything we have discussed here and probably more, because there's just a lot of news to cover at the end of a box office weekend. So, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.